Welcome to the BumbleKast. I'm your host, Ian Flynn, the Bumble King, and joining me as always is my Bumble co-host, Kyle, JCRB Krause.
What have you done, Ian Flynn? What did you do this time?
You're gonna have to be more specific.
How did you manage to get them to make metal virus figures?
I had no hand in that. I was surprised like everyone else, and I am delighted.
Don't trick me. You knew. This is one of your hashtag knowing smiles again. I knew.
I absolutely did not. It caught me completely off guard. I'm not part of the merchandising wing at all.
Okay.
Like, which is probably a good thing, because I'd have like a 25-page manifesto of, I want all the toys. And they'd be like, Ian, calm down. There's, production time and distribution, and we have to consider profits. No, give me all the toys.
Yes.
So no, I don't think I'm allowed in that room if I ever go out to California. So no. I had no idea, and it's freaking cool. And yeah, I hope I can manage to find one.
So for those who don't know, yes, there are apparently now official Metal Virus figures, specifically Metal Froggy and Metal Virus infected Sonic. Why Froggy? I don't know. That's weird.
My understanding is they're going to be Walmart exclusive packs, and I don't think there's going to be any other infected, but I don't know, man.
Who knows what could happen at this rate? I mean, geez.
Can you imagine like an infected Vector with a Zombot Charmy, or we finally get a Gemerald figure and it comes with infected Cream? Now with realistic Heartbreak.
Oh no, how could you do this to us, Ian Flynn? What have you done?
Maybe we finally get our Starline figure and it comes with a rock.
Oh, come on. Come on. Why are you like that? Why are you like this? What did Starline ever do to you? Oh, wait, hold on. Don't answer that.
Well, what I will answer is all the questions we get from our patrons over at patreon.com/BumbleKast, Ko-fi.com/BumbleKast, and our YouTube members.
I'm sorry. I got to get this out of here because it's hilarious. But in the chat, Aaliyah is there, and she says, you can get infected Cream by going to Walmart's dairy section.
Well, you're already there for the figure. Might as well.
I mean... She's not wrong. Oh boy. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into some questions and talk about something else, except it'll still be about Sonic, but Well, starting off with this one from Allison S. I'm aware that I'm bringing up something uncomfortable, and I apologize for any awkwardness this may cause. Don't worry, Allison, this show is nothing but awkwardness. It's fine. How do you think it would have played out during the first few years of Archie if Jeffrey viewed Sally as more of a little sister? Please, I just want to be able to appreciate the tragic anti-villain storyline in the 2010s without feeling gross.
I assume by this context you mean his actions change. His earlier appearances, because if he had that mindset but he still acted the same way, that makes it even worse. Jeffrey... Okay, so retroactively thinking.
Yeah.
With Jeffrey seeing Sally as a little sister to protect and potentially, guide towards being a stronger, independent individual, a family, a surrogate family of sorts, but one that he couldn't directly interact with because, one, he's supposed to be Secret Service military man, and two, he's a pocket Nagas apprentice, so he knows that there's divided loyalties. That's really complicated. Goodness.
Yeah.
It would make the rivalry with Sonic a little more interesting in that he sees Sonic as a chaotic force that could destabilize or mislead Sally. And as the story progresses, he understands the heroism within Sonic and maybe starts pinning his hopes on him that, if push comes to shove, maybe this guy can stop me. That'd be kind of poignant. That'd be kind of nice.
Wow.
As for Sally herself, maybe the arc is, he comes in with that same kind of swagger and bravado, which is one part coping mechanism, one part sincere. And in his attempts to guide and protect, he realizes that she's more on the ball than he would ever be. Sure, she has to grow up and learn a few things herself, but she is a natural born leader. She is brilliant. She can lead people and organize people in ways that her father never could. Maybe she is the way out for him. Maybe he shouldn't be guiding and protecting her. Maybe she's the one who can guide and protect him. And he thinks that possibly, so maybe that's the arc, is that he realizes that he can put his faith in her, in someone, and find a path to redemption.
Mind
Super
blown.
broad strokes, but maybe it's a maybe.
Wow, you've almost made it to where this whole thing is almost palatable. Strange.
I mean, there's also the matter of, that's just my conjecture on the side, and anyone's conjecture on the side doesn't really affect the character as was published. Go by what was actually there, not necessarily any retroactive mentality towards the material.
All right, here's a question from Andrew D. Good news! The powers that be greenlight 2 animated specials, Worlds Collide and Worlds Unite. However, they want all universes included to be of their current game variants. How would you write any non-game only elements?
Any non-game elements?
I mean, there weren't many of those in Worlds Collide.
Yeah, purposefully.
Yeah.
And so nothing would change there.
Not really, no.
Not that I can think of. Outside of like the original setting or like the roboticized masters, but those were unique to the story itself. So I don't see anything changing there.
I guess Worlds Unite, you'd have to ditch the Freedom Fighters.
Well, when he says rewrite, as in write them out, or update them to fit, because if they need to update to fit, there is no game counterpart, so they don't need to be updated.
Yeah, it means write them. It means write them out, as was in the extended version of the question that had a bunch of fan ideas and was like multiple questions in one.
Aha!
Yes.
Then, honestly, that probably would have been the first major revision to do if we were to do it over again. Because with Worlds Unite, the first Worlds Collide, I wanted it to be accessible to the largest possible audience because I knew we would have a lot of casual Sonic and Mega Man fans coming in just for the novelty of it, and they would not be up to date with any of the Archie lore or any of the Archie Mega Man interpretations. So I wanted to make it as pure and accessible while also being recognizable to the hardcore fans who had been following the book. With Worlds Unite, it's like, okay, we appealed to the large audience. Now I want to cater to the hardcore audience. They sat through the game specific version. Now let's give them the extended cast like you wanted. And I want to make sure everybody's got equal representation. So if we're going to have all these freedom fighters, we need to have the light robot masters to balance it out. It all makes sense. Everything has equal representation. And that just ballooned the cast immediately. And then, surprise, we're doing other licensed tie-in stuff too. And it's like, this is too big. This is unwieldy. It was fun, but I think it kind of buckled under its own weight. So that would mean cutting the freedom fighters, obviously. And to that extent, probably cut back on the light robot masters as well and focus more succinctly on Sonic, Rock, X, and Styx. I feel like the principal beats could remain the same, but it would be more focused. Maybe play with the extended Sonic cast a little more in new and different ways. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. I can see it kind of working out. Or Styx. That's always good.
Yeah.
Yes. Good. Aura Warrior 13 has a question, and this one is actually sponsored by Allison S. So thank you, Allison, for your generosity. What do you think a Defunctland documentary on one of Eggman's theme parks would look like?
Oh, that would be delightful.
Yes.
I can almost hear the delivery in my head of that kind of dry but energetic voiceover with the occasional bit of sarcastic twinge in there. Highlighting how the teacup ride full of molten metal was not the safest thing that could be implemented. Or, the PSA announcements about not eating things in Sweet Mountain was valued, but came a little too late. God, I wish he would do that. That'd be fun. Like, in that case, should he do like the Unleashed Eggman Land or the Interstellar Amusement Park from Colors as a whole?
Yes, both.
I mean, the answer, yeah, okay.
Why not both? Yes.
If he were to do this, I don't know if he listens to this show, but
Probably
if
not.
he were, probably not. I would hope that he would approach it with absolute sincerity, like refer to Eggman as if he were a living person.
Yes.
Draw parallels with Walt Disney. Treat it as if it actually has happened and never break character. Keep it on absolute par so that those who don't know kind of walk away from going, did that really happen? Was that a reference to something? Or wait, did this really happen? I want that confusion. That would be delightful.
It'd be like Action Park all over again, except this is Action Park 10 times worse. Jeez. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, play it completely straight, of course. Like, no question. Just, yeah, that would be fantastic. We got a question from OzJam. At the time of this post, IDW published an unfinished cover featuring a Naruto X TMNT crossover being published by IDW. Regardless of its validity, it naturally got people talking about a certain blue blur crossing over with certain Shueisha properties, i.e. DBZ, One Piece, MHA, etc. All possible crossovers, but what property from Shueisha could make the most sense with Sonic in terms of connection, such as the ninja aspect from both TMNT and Naruto, as an example?
I'm not immediately familiar with everything that Shueisha puts out, but of what was listed, I'm kind of inclined to say My Hero Academia, insofar as the large cast of diversely powered and very colorful characters and the theme of breaking through with an indomitable spirit. I feel like plus Ultra is something that Sonic could get behind. And if we're talking like earlier My Hero Academia, then before the power creep gets kind of crazy, I feel like things could be fairly parallel between the two casts in terms of what they can do. And really just want to see All Might and Knuckles have a slugfest. That'd be fun. Obviously, the Dragon Ball parallel is right there.
Yeah. Dragon Ball's a little too obvious, though. Like, I don't know. But at the same time, it could work.
It would be fun to be sure. But yeah, I feel like managing the power levels would be easier with My Hero versus Dragon Ball.
Well, we know what would happen. The power scalers would be out in force.
As for One Piece, I am not familiar enough with the series to really say. There's a spirit of adventure and friendship and overcoming crazy powered boss characters that I know from the Fringe that could fit thematically with Sonic well enough. But I don't know. I'm thinking My Hero first and foremost, maybe.
Okay. And we've got a question from KB. Hey, Ian and Kyle, I just want to ask you something. Which one of the Sonic cast is secretly a brony, and why is it Shadow?
Because Fluttershy is too pure for this world.
You think he's secretly a brony? Nah, he's the ultimate brony. He makes that known.
That weird spiky swoopy symbol from his game is his cutie mark.
Yep. You're not wrong. Shadow is not ashamed. Although apparently he was kind of ashamed of being a Taylor Swift fan. What the hell? Pfft, whatever. Chaos Sonic 1 has a question. In the Anime Expo panel for Sonic and Shadow Generations, it's revealed that Shadow was based on Spawn. Now, I think you don't know anything about Spawn, so I have to ask how Shadow would get along with other anti-heroes like Punisher, Venom, and Jason Todd Red Hood.
I don't read too much of that. Inspired by Spawn, not based on. Like, they were looking at the early 90s anti-hero type characters and drew inspiration from that. It's not like he was directly supposed to be Spawn. Although, if we're thinking like the Frontiers battle engine and giving Shadow a couple of chains to whip around and just beat people with, that'd be kind of cool. I ain't gonna lie.
Keith David voicing Shadow, that'd be pretty cool.
Ooh.
Maybe a little. His voice is maybe a little too, a little too good
Perfect
for Shadow. Yeah.
Nah, just have Keith David redub the entire game. Amy, Tails, Sage, everybody.
Yes. Okay.
Same voice, same inflection. The entire.
Yes.
It's just
the whole game. Yes. Okay. Fine. I'll let him do that. That's fine.
But Punisher, Frank Castle takes out bad people. I don't see Shadow having an issue with that.
No, with guns even. I mean, Shadow be like, I haven't used one of these in a while.
Venom eats the brains of bad people. I don't think Shadow's going to go so far as brain eating. Possibly he's going to be a little wary of another, people eating alien thing. He's got a bad experience with that, but in principle, no issue there.
Yeah.
And Red Hood, again, life kind of screwed him over. He decided to stop playing by the rules and enact justice the way he sees fit. Shadow ain't going to get in the way of that.
No, pretty much. I mean, Shadow would eat Sonic's brain, but he'd have to be able to find it, so.
I'm just imagining the scene from the animated movie. It's like, I'm not talking about Penguin or Dent, just him. No. Go ahead and get those two as well. Here, I'll get you another clip. Don't hold yourself back. Give in.
Pretty much. Use a Lazarus pit on Maria. There you go. She'd come back totally fine. No problems.
Uh-huh.
Oh, boy. Comic the Hedgehog has a question. Lanolin gets promoted to Green Hill Safety Patrol, which comes with a raise, benefits, and a shiny badge. However, now she has to tell Shadow that he can't have a gun without a permit, and she has to confiscate his gun until he completes the process. What happens next? Boy, this is a conveniently timed question.
Well, she comes up and says, you had to have a permit to carry the gun. Don't care. Well, I might have to take your gun. Fine, here. And then he goes and gets another one. And the next time she catches him, she confiscates it again.
And then he gets another one.
It's very professional. There's respect there. She's doing her job. He's doing what he wants to. She knows she can't stop him. And he knows she's not going to go beyond her own authority. She's not going to leave Green Hill and try to stop him. As long as he's within her jurisdiction, she's going to do what she has to. And then they go out for coffee later.
Works for me, I guess. Here's a question from Danomancy. Infinite has reappeared and needs to lay low from the Resistance and Eggman. Luckily, he's found an unwitting pawn who agrees to offer him a hideout. And it's none other than Big the Cat. How do these two interact? And how well does Infinite hide his identity from Big?
He doesn't need to. Big has no idea who he is.
Really? Big doesn't know?
He sat out the entire Eggman war, man. He was fishing. He had no idea what happened.
Like, he really? He wouldn't know?
Why would he? He's not a fighter.
I mean, like, he never, like, walked by a TV anywhere and saw, like,
Where's
things happening on the news. No. I mean, like, maybe he was in the city. Maybe he went into the city to get some bait, and he walked by a shop with TVs in the window that had the news on. And
no. For 6 months, he was just outside his house fishing, oblivious to the world.
Well, lucky for him, I guess.
Hey, Sonic, how are we doing? You kind of tired from the war, buddy. War?
War never changes.
And so, Infinite finds this Patsy who's completely oblivious to who he is or what he's done and just kind of hides out with him. And in the process, accepts the zen of Big.
As he should.
The heroes eventually find him just chilling out with Big, fishing. His name's Finite now. He's given up on the whole villainy thing.
Well, good.
He is weak, and that's okay. Because measuring yourself against others is a fool's errand. He is who he is. And what he is Finite the fisherman.
He yam what he yam. I'm being told there's literally a special where Big walks around oblivious to the entire events of the comic to the point, in spite of being right next to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know, but still. You think Big would at least recognize the people who have been mean to his friends?
He's walking through an aerial bombardment. Sure is noisy today.
Oh, Big. I feel like he should be smarter than that. Oh,
well, he is, but it's funnier for the show to go with the Big.
I know. DDR Master M has a question. Here's another fusion scenario. Amy and Mighty. Same questions from before. What's their name/identity, their personality, and how much of a threat do they become?
Amy plus Mighty, you get Amity.
That's a different character, Ian.
And Amity is very upbeat, but also very chill about it. And that hammer can crack the planet in half if they want to.
As it should. Yeah. Amity is a different character, though, Ian. Come on.
What?
Just
who is Amity in the Sonic series?
Well, that's okay. Fine, you got me there, but
names can be used more than once, Kyle.
Still. I mean, she's even got pink hair. Like, what do you want?
I have no idea who you're referencing.
Amity from Owl House. Is that where she's from? I think it's Owl House.
Oh, right. Completely different character. And I think it's more of magenta, I would say.
I guess so. And also she had green hair at some point. I don't know. I don't know anything about Owl House, to be honest. I only know of that character and her girlfriend. That's it.
It's a fun show. Give it a watch.
Okay. And here's one from Domino. Sonic is having a crossover with a fighting game franchise of your choice. The twist, the entire cast of your chosen franchise will be transformed into normies. To make the games work, of course. What are you both choosing?
I mean, to keep in the house, it should be Fighting Vipers.
I feel like that's the obvious answer. I mean, we already have one who has been turned into a Sonic character, so might as well just do them all, huh?
Yeah, and here, showing my ignorance, Fighters Megamix was a crossover of various Sega arcade fighters, right? It was
Correct.
Fighting Vipers and
Correct.
What else?
It was Fighting Vipers and Virtua Fighter, I believe, were the main two, along with some other guest characters.
In that regard, you already kind of have Bean and Bark sort of in that realm, so
yeah,
humanize them as well. I mean, why not?
Humanize Bean and Bark or keep them as normal?
Well, the stipulation of the question is to turn them into normies, so...
Yes. I mean, it's Virtua Fighter and Fighting Vipers are the main ones, and then there's the secrets and the guest characters. So
I don't know enough about Virtua Fighter versus Fighting Vipers to say what the distinctions are, but I don't know. Fighting Vipers just has a cooler title.
Yeah, but Virtua Fighter has a lot more brand recognition. So
well,
I think you could have both, though. I mean, it's not a super huge roster for either of them, so you could probably make it work.
I wonder if they could revive both and just combine them. Virtua Fighting Vipers.
I'm really kind of surprised they never did, to be honest with you, but...
Well, I mean, the fighting game market is clogged as it is.
Yeah.
I mean, would either have enough power, even combined, to make a dent against stuff like Guilty Gear or Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat or...
Virtua Fighter has a lot of cachet among fighting game fans, so I can see that.
Yeah, okay.
I can see Fighting Viper, or not, Virtua Fighter. A Virtua Fighter revival being a big deal, at least within
second,
that.
Since you're listening, revive Virtua Fighter.
Don't say that.
Rescue Fighting Vipers by just dragging them up into that franchise. I'm sure there's no internal conflict there at all.
Of course not.
And let me write the story. There you go. Talk to you Tuesday.
There you go. Yes. Please put in Daytona, the Hornet, and Rent a Hero, and we're good. Yeah. We're good.
This is a joke. I don't actually have that kind of pull.
Oh, disappoint. I'm disappointed, Ian. Please. Why you do this to me? Well, since we can't have nice things, we can at least have this question from E200 Paragon. During the Silver Age miniseries, Evan Stanley said she wasn't allowed to use Onyx Island from Sonic Rivals 1 since Sega no longer considered Sonic Rivals to be canon. He said Sega flagged you for trying to use Metal Sonic's copycat ability from SR1, but also said that the Ifrit from Sonic Rivals 2 is technically allowed to come back, meaning Sega still treats Sonic Rivals 2 as canon. Given that SR1 is the first time Silver reunites with Sonic after 06, my question is this: why is SR1 not considered canon while SR2 is?
What was no today can be yes tomorrow.
Yes. So what is it, Ian?
You know what? Just wait and find out until there's an official statement on the subject.
Okay. Sega says yesn't. Geo Knuckles has a question. Doesn't Bean have the power to make bombs explode with a snap of his fingers? What if he makes Bomberman's bombs explode before he can throw them?
That would be the tactical thing to do, but I don't think Bean would impede on Bomberman's artistic expression like that.
Well, I'm glad Bean understands that explosions are an artistic expression.
Like, just a professional courtesy, you know? He's making a bomb, he's throwing a bomb. It should detonate the way he intends it to.
Okay. I mean, Bean has respect. Bean has a code of ethics. Sorta.
His own code of ethics.
Sorta. When it comes to bombs, at least. Anything else, no. Screw that crap. Question from Gideon W. works for me. I had a thought about power scaling. What units work best for characters of your choice? Example, is Sonic best measured in horsepower or watts?
He works in degrees of Sonics. His own special metric.
Oh, no. Oh, man. Horsepower is... It works in chili dogs per inch. Or Sonic is best measured in mistakes.
Oof.
Big oof. Hearts 13 has a question. Considering there are infinite parallel realities of any possible universe, it shouldn't be surprising that there would be a hypothetical version of Moebius that survived the Super Genesis wave. A green hedgehog and his two-tailed fox lackey wake up on the infamous East Side Island. What would this new rebooted reality be like as an antithesis of the post-Super Genesis wave Sonic universe? And how would Scourge and Miles react to the new world?
I mean, the whole point of the Super Genesis wave was to say the multiverse was gone. That the post-Genesis wave continuity was free and clear from any connection to previous thoughts or creative decisions.
And how long would that have lasted?
There was a quarantine buffer is what I'm getting at, but that's not the spirit of the question.
No.
Since post-Genesis wave was basically meant to be modern Sonic with extras, we're talking an evil version of Sonic and Tails. And so, because modern Sonic's motivation is fairly simple. It's to travel and to experience the world and protect those that are in need of protection. You know, he isn't one to acknowledge or follow authority unless it suits his particular brand of justice at the time. So I guess the Scourge in this scenario would be just a straight up violent anarchist, traveling the world, seeing the sights, and doing as much vandalism as possible along the way.
Well, there you go.
And Tails is the aspiring hero inspired by all that Sonic can do. He wants to catch up and reach that level. So the Miles in this case would be... I don't know whether to make it inspired as well and wants to become an even greater threat. Look what this idiot can do. I'm way smarter. I can do better, which is to say worse.
Mm-hmm.
Or antagonistic in that he just loathes this guy, this random idiot causing trouble. He could be so much better with some guidance and some direction.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he can be the mastermind to make that happen. I don't know. There's a few ways you could take it.
I'm being told that after the Super Genesis wave, Scourge became a girl and has electrical powers.
No. It's a Tenric. Completely different animal.
Well, I mean, she became a Tenric. I mean, Genesis wave did all sorts of weird stuff. Who knows? I'm kidding. Don't take that. Don't take that seriously. Hero Squad asks a question. It's time for another Sonic Boom plot, this time with a guest, and it is none other than Sagata Sanshiro. Nope, it's not a fraud parody faker. It's the real deal. How does it go?
He's deeply disturbed that there are no video games on the island.
There aren't? I thought they were playing. I thought they were playing video games in like the second episode or whatever.
Oh, were they?
Yes.
Where did they get the electricity from then?
Why
am I asking questions like this of Sonic Boom?
Medberger has like deep fryers and stuff. That's where they got the electricity from.
Yeah, all right.
They were in like Tails' house or whatever. When Eggman lived with them and they were playing video games. Like Tails was playing something.
All right, then retraction. He is horrified that the video game console that they're playing is not the Sega Dreamcast.
You mean the Saturn?
Saturn.
Yes.
God. completely different era.
Sagata Shanshiro died for our sins,
right, it was
for not
Saturn.
for not praising the Sega Saturn. That's why he died for our sins.
I have forsaken him. I have fallen off the path.
I am not editing this, by the way. You're going to.
No,
I'm going to keep you looking like an idiot for all time.
As you should. Own my mistakes.
Okay.
After I finish the recording, I will, get out a telescope, point it towards Saturn, say my little prayer of forgiveness, give the finger to my PlayStation, pay my respect.
There you go. Good. Yeah, as you should. And this one is from Icy. Mutsky decides it's time for a sidekick of his own, and he lays trust in one very good boy, Ozzy, the golden retriever. What silly adventures do they get up to, and who gets the most distracted by a random ball?
Mutsky.
More than the dog? Is this Mutsky post Super Genesis Wave or pre?
Post.
Okay. We'll go with that.
Standing there with Ozzy. See the ball? Get the ball? Throws it. Never mind, I got it. And Ozzy's just sitting there with that kind of happy golden retriever smile.
Yes.
And, they just go on adventures, exploring the town, exploring the wilderness. Mutsky's carrying on a one-sided conversation, but, seems to be responding as if Ozzy is talking back to him. And maybe he is in his own special doggo way.
Would you say Mutsky's literally got that dog in him? Literally.
I mean, in the most technical biological sense that he is, yes.
Yes. See? I know things. Not many, but I know things. JCR1216 has a question. After watching enough soap operas, Shadow decides to become the ultimate house husband. In the different multiverses where this plays out, how does this dynamic play out with Infinite, Lanolin, Tangle, Silver, and SPO?
Well, he's going to be the ultimate house husband, to be sure.
Obviously.
The food is always on time and perfectly prepared. The house is immaculate. The bills are paid on time. Everything's neatly organized. Like, the spice rack is actually a spice rack, and things are organized and neatly prepared, alphabetized even.
The coffee is always beans.
Yes. So SBO is impressed with the discipline and looks at the crap shack that is the Chaotix office and thinks we must do better. Silver is just impressed with any kind of standing structure with food in the fridge. I mean, it's really impressive in this day and age. Tangle loves to visit, especially the twitch that he gets in his eye whenever she doesn't take her shoes off coming in the house. Lanolin appreciates her husband, and Infinite is super jealous, and he's always trying to one-up him in the house across the street.
Perfect.
Like, Christmas comes around and he's got the fully coordinated full house light up scenario with the Trans-Siberian Orchestra playing in sync to it. And, just smug at Shadow. What do you think of that? It's a bit gaudy. Takes it all down. Stupid Shadow.
It's a Tim Taylor Home Improvement Christmas. Clark Griswold versus Tim Allen. And of course, it's the actual Trans-Siberian Orchestra, not a recording. Major X has a question before we take a break. Is everything on the BumbleKast canon to Sega? This question is surely on everyone's mind, right?
It is not in the slightest.
No, it is not canon to Sega. No. The show is not Sega canon in at all. Sadly. If only.
Every now and again, you might get a bit of valid insight from me, but that's about it.
The Bumble canon is its own canon. Please do not take the show as canon.
Never will you find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy that is the Bumble canon.
It will not be canon. It will not be Sega canon, but I'm sure Sega would love to fire this show out of a canon. Anyway, that's it. We're going to take a quick break and erase all of the canon from the BumbleKast.
we're back, and we're starting off with our weekly giveaway question. This week's winner is
Sean G from Blue Sky. Do you do any kind of warm-ups or pre-writing rituals to get in the headspace to start writing? Question doesn't have to be about Sonic.
No, nothing that specific. And especially when there's multiple projects and multiple deadlines, it's like, okay, what needs to be done first? This, okay, get in that headspace, make it happen. And sometimes that's easier than others. Sometimes I'm really feeling like it and I get right into it and I bang it out and we're good. Other days, it's like, I cannot think words. Make word on page now? No. Grr. So sometimes I'll cue up a bit of music if I need this particular feeling, but there isn't anything specifically dedicated that I do. One thing that I have noticed that's really obnoxious is that, I'll go for a walk to get, groceries or whatever, and being up and moving, the brain starts firing. Everything's falling into place. I know exactly what I need to do. This is brilliant. Ha 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 ha. All the neurons are firing. And then by the time I get back, I am hot and I'm tired. I'm sweating. I don't want to do anything.
Damn it.
I sit down and everything settles. And it's like, what was I thinking? What was it? I had the perfect turn of phrase. What was I going to do?
Oh, man. What were you thinking? Going for a walk?
Usually. Well, that was, I need to be less fat. So it's working.
Okay, well, I guess if it's helping. And a question from Major Bunny. A few months ago, you said that Cosmo's favorite anime would be Revolutionary Girl Utena, and I thought that was a perfect choice for her for so many different reasons. From this, I'm assuming you've seen the show, and it also happens to be one of my favorite all-time anime. So here's your free pass to talk about Utena and your thoughts on it for as long as you like. If I'm mistaken, please talk about another 90s anime you like.
You're not mistaken insofar as I managed to fake it really well up to this point.
Oh, no.
I know just enough about Utena to answer that question back then.
Yep.
And you called my bluff.
You got him, Major Buddy. You got him.
You thought I had a full house. I don't even have a pair. And I realize now that's going to be taken out of context in unfortunate ways. But you know what? This episode is me owning my mistake, so we're just going to stick with it.
More Ian Flynn, more like Ian Fraud.
Yeah.
Oh.
But a 90s anime? Let's talk about Outlaw Star, because that was one of the early Toonami lineup anime that had a huge influence on me growing up and creatively. There's a lot of its DNA in Dragoon.
Mm-hmm.
It's undeniable. The opening theme is just a bop. Love that. And my DVD box set, the last episode, the file is corrupted.
No!
So I literally cannot watch the big climactic battle that I missed on live TV. That's one of the reasons I bought the box set back in the day. It's like, I can finally sit down and watch this properly. Yep. Joke's on you.
No. What the heck?
I wouldn't call it great in retrospect, but it has so many neat ideas and fun individual characters, even if to me it doesn't necessarily mesh well. And I also vividly remember the valiant but ultimately hilarious attempt to double broadcast it at the time, where they would air a censored version in the afternoon and then the uncensored version in the evening, except they would get elements of those mixed. So in one particular episode, the character shows up having been shot and they're getting razzed on until they realize their hand's covered in blood, and the character reacts to that. And in the edited version, they just edited out the blood. So it's a clean hand. But the character still reacts in horror going, what the hell? And it's like, you can't say that in the afternoon. That has to be later. And I want to say when I watched the evening version, there was the bloody hand, but the character said, what the heck? So that always stuck with me as fun.
Yeah. That's goofy.
It's a very goofy show, really, when you get down to it, but it's unapologetic in just how zany its magic and science are. And I like that.
Yeah.
It's not nearly as tight or well constructed as Bebop, but nothing is.
Yeah.
but the characters are clearly motivated. It's a very distinct art style. Again, that opening track is a bop. It's a good song. And the spaceships can have punching fights, and that's great too, you know? When two spaceships punch each other, you have a good show.
When two spaceships love each other very much, they punch each other.
Also, good God, what was his name? It was the younger McDougal brother. God, he was a creep.
McDougal.
The McDougal brothers, yeah, they were like, I was surprised that they were long-running antagonists throughout the series, and the younger one, was it Henry McDougal? Oh my God, it's been so long.
Harry McDougal?
Harry McDougal, thank you. Yeah, like, he started off as just kind of, he's the wimpy brother, and then he very quickly escalated to, I need to have a shower after watching this dude. Ew. Oh, you nasty, scummy, do not like. And I feel like they tried to kind of redeem him or have him turn a corner later on, and it's like, no. He can go in the vat of acid. That's fine. Nothing of value is lost.
Good. All right. Let's move on to this next question here from Mankoi. Blaze the Cat and Hornet from Hollow Knight switch universes. Blaze has to go on an adventure in Hollow Nest with the Knight, and Hornet has to go on an adventure with Silver. How does it go?
Well, the Knight doesn't have to do too much because Blaze can just set everything on fire. And honestly, given some of the locations of Hollow Nest, it needs to be set on fire.
I mean, yeah, probably.
Have you played Hollow Knight?
A little bit. I've seen a lot of it, but I have not played much of it myself. But I know, I'm aware, yeah.
You know there are sections where a flamethrower would be greatly appreciated.
Blaze says, F these nasty bugs.
Yes, abso-freaking-lutely. And Hornet, I don't know if she would be the mentor companion that Silver needs, but she would still be a solid companion. Would she stick around, though? I don't know if she would just kind of go off on her own and do her own thing. Hard to say. I don't know Hornet super well. All I know is that her game needs to come out already, dagummit.
I'm being told that Silver is far enough in the future that Silksong finally came out. Oh boy. Sorry, Hollow Knight fans. This is becoming your Duke Nukem Forever. Hopefully it's a better game than Duke Nukem Forever when it ultimately comes out.
I am certain it will.
Or Half-Life 3, yeah. Mr. Wahoo has a question. I know Kirby has moves in his games that originate from Smash, and the games acknowledge this. During the Game Informer's interview, Miyamoto agreed to Mario being called an Olympian. Does Miyamoto agree with Smash, the Olympics, and Minecraft Mario Pack as canon officially?
I don't know. I've never met the man.
Are you sure? You don't know? You don't know? You and Miyamoto don't talk? Like,
no.
Once, like once a week. Oh no, the spaghetti incident involving literal spaghetti.
Yes. I'll never forgive him.
Does your uncle doesn't work at Nintendo, Ian? Come on.
Not after him. No.
Not after that. This is why we can't have nice Nintendo things anymore.
I miss you, Uncle. What's your name?
Mixagar17 has a question. What shenanigans would occur if Sonic developed an equally intense hatred of Surge as she has for him? But for both, it was now the objectively healthier, I will be better than you at everything and laugh at your suffering kind of hatred, as opposed to the omnicidal rage Surge has.
I don't know if that's objectively better. That's still fairly nasty.
I mean, it is slightly better than the desire to murder you. Hatred.
I guess.
Like Silver doesn't, or not Silver, like Shadow doesn't necessarily want to murder Sonic. He just wants to be the best. He just wants to be the best. He knows he's the ultimate life form, so he will be the ultimate life form compared to Sonic.
I would imagine their interactions would still remain largely the same. It's just Sonic's snark would be far less witty and far more hurtful.
I miss mean Sonic, to be fair. It's been a while since we've had that guy.
Like, think of how I had him interacting with Zavok and then kind of dial that up just a touch more.
Nice. I mean, that would be fun, but... And Onyxodon has a question. In The Flash Season 3, the villain Savitar is shown to be, spoilers, a future version of the Flash, and throughout the whole season before the reveal, he constantly taunted everyone by saying, "I am the future Flash," without anyone realizing he meant it literally. Now I ask, in the Sonic universe, how would you make a character similar to Savitar? Would some guy just show up and start saying, "I am the future Silver"? If you've not seen the reveal, I suggest you look it up really fast because it's actually really well done.
I feel like that's a bit on the nose, even for me.
I mean, the Arrowverse is nothing if not on the nose, constantly, all the time.
And let me make it clear, I'm not looking down my nose at it, because it is me we're talking about. Some of my foreshadowing and writing is about as subtle as a brick. I understand that. I acknowledge that.
Yeah.
I feel like just that constant, very specific wordplay is too much of a gamble. Of course, on the other hand, I'm also way more cautious because the Sonic fandom has unraveled stuff way faster than I would have thought of. You guys figured out the Iron Queen connection by the initials RF, okay? She hadn't shown up in years. There was no context, and you figured it out, and it's like, oh, how? Like, I know you guys are dedicated, but I really thought I was playing coy here. So saying I am the future name, that I feel like you would have uncoded that immediately.
Mm-hmm.
If I were going to do a corrupted future version of a character, it would hinge on their interactions with the other cast members, like showing compassion to somebody or saying something out of hand, like, you know, you were always like this, or wow, I remember you being way smarter than this, or, you know, little contextual things where you're kind of like, wait, how does he know these people? What is his history with them? So that you understand that he's supposed to have a history with them, but not necessarily be time travel related. And then the reveal, and then explain the time travel angle. So more or less the same kind of direction, just less wearing it on your sleeve, I guess. Or I guess it is basically the same thing, just different delivery.
Yeah. Some writers use subtext, but those writers are cowards. And we've got a question from Peacock Queen. I was rewatching Sonic X the other day when I realized that the Thorndikes only have 2 people working on their huge property. Don't you think it's strange that Ella and Tanaka are the only ones maintaining that huge place? I mean, the 2 of them do all the cleaning, the laundry, they clean the pools, they cut the grass in the bushes, they cook the food, and they take care of Chris and his grandfather. Imagine the amount of time it would take you just to clean the floors of that mansion. That's too much.
Well, here's the thing. Tanaka could do it all by himself because he's superhuman. They just hired Ella to keep up appearances.
I mean, Batman only has one house cleaner, housekeeper.
Yeah, but do you really need to clean a cave?
I mean,
it has the lights off half the time.
We're talking about the mansion, not the cave.
Yes, that too. Right, there's a house up there.
Yeah, I mean,
forgot about that.
Yes, there's this whole thing called the Wayne Manor, Ian. Have you ever heard of it?
I almost feel like that could be a bit. You know, Alfred just kind of sidles up to Batman. Master Bruce, you do know there's a house up there with a bed, multiple beds. You could sleep in them like a normal person. Not now, Alfred.
That's stupid, Alfred. Who would do that?
Well, considering that the parents are never home and Chris is like either out with his friends or just kind of hanging out in like 1 or 2 rooms, maybe they don't actually maintain the house. Maybe they've learned where Chris goes and keeps that area clean and maintained.
Yeah.
Chuck never leaves his garage.
They just close and lock the other doors. Don't go in there. Don't worry about it. Question from Reckons. It's time for team building chaos, as Tangle and Vector have challenged each other and their teams to a bowling competition. Chaotix versus the Diamond Cutters. They did not run this by their teams beforehand. How do they get their friends on board, and what shenanigans occur?
Tangle tells Lanolin that this is a team building exercise.
And it works.
And there's uniforms. And there's rules. And Lanolin's like, you've come so far. Thank you. And Whisper's just impressed that Tangle managed to con her into this. So yeah, she'll see how this goes. Sure.
Whisper's on board.
She just like quietly bro fists Tangle's like, that was impressive. Thanks. And we have to have Tangle bowling with her tail and her hands at some point. And she managed to get a strike in 2 lanes. And she's like, yeah. And Vector's like, that don't count. We're not playing in that lane.
That's cheating.
But then he has to give it to her later because Charmy ends up bowling with himself rather than the actual bowling ball and gets a strike, and they still count it. So there's leeway here and there.
Okay, fine.
Vector convinces the boys that there's prizes involved. He doesn't specify that it's like a pizza party, but he wants that jersey, man. He wants that bowling jacket. He wants the excuse to buy it.
I want to see now bowling team shirts for the Diamond Cutters and for the Chaotix. Come on. This is freaking great. I mean, Knuckles could do it. Why not? Why not his old extended team?
There's a bit of a scandal where SBO bowls and gets a 7-10 split, and then mysteriously the last 2 pins fall, and then he sneezes and reveals he was invisible the entire time trying to knock him over.
Oh. Oh. Come on. Where's Wade when you need him?
And then Whisper gets in trouble because she has her wisps infuse the bowling balls to guide them a bit better.
Yeah.
And eventually it just becomes a free-for-all, really.
Cheating. Bunch of cheaters. Oh, well. Bring Wade Whipple into the main timeline. Come on. Let's do it. I'm being asked who wins. I think we do as the readers.
Darn it, I really want to make a Big Lebowski reference involving Eggman, but this is a family show, so...
Am I wrong?
You don't mess with the Eggman.
You see what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps?
Moving on.
Wolfgang Wilcox has a question. This one comes to us via Scurvy Pirate Dog.
2 sponsors this episode. Lovely.
Yes. Fantastic. Dr. Stallline is brought into the game canon under one condition. Knowing nobody else would be accepted by the fans, you, Mr. Flynn, are to be his English voice actor, and this must take priority over all other work. New game, Twitter takeover, future animated series, talking plush, you must drop everything to do the voice lines. Do you accept the responsibility?
Oh, most humbly. And here's the thing with voice work is, depending on the project and the amount of copy, that's usually like a day.
There's a lot of downtime in between voice work, yeah.
Like, I did one session years ago. It was a 2-hour session for what amounted to about 30 minutes a copy.
Yeah.
I did a children's book years and years ago, and that was a 1-2 hour session, maybe. I don't remember. I was fairly young. And that was for a audio book. So that was maybe 10 minutes a copy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't think Starline would show up in every episode of a TV series. Like, let's be generous and say 5, and say that there's maybe 10 minutes a copy collectively out of those, or per episode. That's maybe a 1 or 2 day session. Twitter takeover's done in a day.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd just be a matter of scheduling things.
Yeah. I mean, that's why so many voice actors are at so many conventions, is because there's a lot of time between jobs, And
why so many do streams now.
Yeah.
Because they're selling their voice as much as they can, because even if you're in like a big title.
Yeah.
That's it. You're recording that one session, and I sincerely doubt they're getting royalties most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately. Now people are demanding that you drop the link to that audiobook.
Oh, God. That was almost 30 years ago.
Wow.
And it was, I found out later, the client was kind of a shady fly-by-night knockoff a Disney type of thing, and
oh no,
I don't know if they actually paid the recording studio in the end.
Oh no, oops.
I think, okay, I don't know if I remember this exactly, but if you can find somewhere, I think it was called Peter Pan Productions, and their version of The Jungle Book. And honestly, Kyle, I think this was on like cassette tape. This is how far back it was.
Mm-hmm. I
was Mowgli.
Really? Okay. So, I mean, you would have been pretty young at the time.
Yeah. So if you can manage to track down that, shoot me a link. I would be entertained that you managed to track down this bit of minutia.
That would be freaking crazy. Maybe someone out there owns it. It's like, oh crap, I have that on cassette. Shadowman X has a question. With his inclusion in Sonic and Shadow Generations, can we get a big push for Terios in the comics as his own character?
I don't think so, Tim. That was a deep cut for a skin, and I am tickled that they did that.
Yeah.
That was another surprise for me. It's like, oh, wow, they're doing that. That's fun. But, if there's demand for it, it could potentially happen. I mean, I wouldn't have ever thought they'd reference it at all, let alone, this. So if you actually want to see Terios be a thing, go through the social media channels, say, we love the skin. We want to see it be an actual character. Please give us Terios for realsies. And maybe if there's enough demand, they'll actually say, hey, we want to do this.
They'll probably put him into mobile games.
I would settle for that.
I could see that. Terios and Feels Generations. Felios. There we go. Sleepy has a question. Vanilla becomes the president. Cream gets kidnapped, and Vector gets to call to rescue her. When he gets on location, however, he sees zombie-like humans in an old Spanish village. How well would Vector do in Resident Evil 4?
All I know is I'm a bad enough dude to rescue the president's daughter. That's the wrong game, Vector. I don't care.
Where's everybody going? Bingo?
I imagine he'd be just fine. He's got super strength. He could probably overpower Dr. Salvador.
Mm-hmm. Does he use guns?
He doesn't need to. He can blow fire and shoot exploding bubble gums.
I guess that's true. I forgot about the breathing fire thing. That doesn't come up very often, but...
It does not, but...
It should.
I mean, he's not going to be pleased with, Las Plagas popping out of people's heads, and he's trying to strangle this murder worm before it takes his head off, but...
Yeah.
I mean, if we're assuming he can get away with the M-rated violence of Resident Evil 4, he's got big chomping jaws. He'll be fine.
I mean, yeah, he'll probably be okay if he's willing to kill.
And you know what? He would look awesome in Leon's jacket. Let's not lie. Granted, bomber jackets are cool anyway, but he would rock it especially well.
Yeah. What about that? What about his romantic tension with Ada Wong? Would that get weird with Vanilla being the president?
You're assuming he has a chance with Ada anyway.
I mean, did Leon? Probably
only
not.
because she was interested.
Yeah, well.
I mean, she kind of cartwheels through the room and says something mildly seductive, and Vector would just kind of put on that smile, raise an eyebrow, and
maybe the president and Ada are both Vanilla. There we go. Solve that problem. And a question from Sonic Swordfighter. How would the Sonic cast react to finding out about Shadow's hooves, specifically Sonic, Amy, and Rouge? But feel free to include any other funny ones you could think of. Wait a minute, does this tie back in with the Brony comment?
Or is this referencing something else we did in an earlier episode?
Is that what Shadow's keeping under those shows? It's a reference to an earlier episode, apparently. The Bumble lore strikes again. Neither of us remember this. Those are his hooves.
Clip clop control. I don't know.
It might be a little confused and little weirded out by it. Like, put those shoes back on.
I mean, I guess Sonic would kind of give it a look and say, I understand why you skate now.
Yeah.
Amy might kind of go, how did they stay on? Like, do the little cuffs like sink on? I don't mean to be too personal about it. I'm just curious. Rouge just kind of gives him the once and now goes, hot. And Shadow just kind of narrows his eyes and I can never tell if you're joking or not. And she doesn't explain further because she enjoys the confusion.
Of course not. Rouge says would.
Gerald's looking at the pod as he's finishing up incubating. He's like, well, he's mostly right. I'll just put some shoes on him.
Sonic says, it might behoove you to stop.
Ooh.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. What have we gotten into on this, Ian? Just this in general.
Like I said, miserable hive of scum and villainy here.
Man, Silver got kicked in the head by them hooves, man. Ouch. Ouch. Spoiler 1001 has a question. What was Vanilla doing during Dream Team?
Trying not to panic, I guess. Maybe she hired the Chaotix and they're busy looking for Cream.
Yeah.
In all the wrong places.
There's an answer in the chat that I cannot say out loud because this is a family show.
Oh, goodness.
Cannot say it. I can't say it. I want to. I want to say it, but I can't. I'm not going to say it. I refuse. No, I will not. I will not bow to peer pressure. No.
Moving on.
Question from the Hobgoblin. If we would include a fourth character type beyond speed, flight, and power that would encompass Amy's moveset, I think super jump, melee attack, range attack, and stealth, what would you call this type? What characters do you think would fit this new type? SBO, Cream, Styx, Fang, and either Silver or Blaze seem like possibilities. But who would you cast as the fourth member of Team Dark, Team Chaotix, the Babylon Rogues, and whatever Blaze and Silver's team is, so we can have teams of 4 rather than 3?
I've kind of mulled over this myself for various things, and I feel like to a point it becomes so specified that it hampers the creativity and the team dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean I haven't tried, because this is fun. Let's be honest. With Amy, I'm at some points I'm inclined to just say gimmick, because she has the hammer and that informs a lot of her moves and her abilities. So what other characters have, some special trait to them, that extra mobility through a gimmick device of some kind? So like maybe Styx, who has, at least in one game, that boomerang that you can guide through specific pathways that you could set up for kind of special targeted hits. SBO is more traditionally a speed type himself, but you could argue he could be this quote gimmick character with the ninja rope and kunai and shuriken, have those tools at his disposal. I hesitate to say Cream could be that too, since Cheese would be the gimmick in this case, a flying character with a devoted heat-seeking missile. Mm-hmm. With a dapper bow tie, but she was built to be the flying type of Team Rose, But I guess if we're lumping Amy in with Team Sonic, there is no Team Rose at that point, is there? And Fang would definitely be gimmick in this case with the Marvelous Queen and all the crazy crap it does.
Yeah.
For Team Dark, if we're working with this gimmick mentality, it's hard to say, because Rouge is already built in as the flying type, but she has the myriad of explosives, and she is a competent fighter like Knuckles. It almost feels like she could be folded into the gimmick type. Or maybe graduate Fang into the modern cast, make him be the gimmick member.
Mm-hmm.
For the Chaotix, I mean, the shoe-in is just to modernize Mighty and Ray and throw them in there, but their power and flying by default, that kind of messes things up there. I don't know, maybe revive Tiara from the depths.
Heck yeah, here we go.
Wand and
yes,
it summons pineapples. I don't know.
Yes, there's also Trip. You could bring in Trip.
Yeah, you could bring Trip, or it Styx. She's a tracker. She's a hunter by trade. She likes uncovering mysteries and conspiracies.
Yes.
She's comedy bent. Oh my God, she'd be perfect for the Chaotix. Like she leads Vector on yet another wild goose chase, and they end up, uncovering some drug ring that was wholly unrelated to whatever Styx was trying to discover. Good job, Styx. You cracked the case. I wanted to find Bigfoot. He owes me money. For the rogues, Bean.
Yeah.
Put him on a board, give him his bombs. There's your gimmick right there. And Blaze and Silver, Well, assuming, how do you define them? Because Blaze is very powerful in her own right, and she's fast, and she also has that hover ability, so she kind of covers all three.
I was gonna say she doesn't really need a team; she is the team.
You could argue Silver is a flying type because of the TK, but he's extremely powerful.
Yeah,
and while he's slow on foot, he can fly with his TK at Sonic-like speed, so he's all three there as well.
Yeah, I mean, you could drag Marine in there. I don't know what she would do, but she's
got a penchant for
water powers,
gadgets, and vehicles, and the water powers. Yeah, she could be the gimmick. So it's like, if Blaze is your speed and Silver is your fly, and we're like really narrowing them down, and Marine is your gimmick, who's another otherworld there can be your power?
I mean,
you know what? Gardon steps up.
Okay.
He's going to protect his princess, and holy crap, he was holding back this whole time. Look at this dude. Look at this tiny Chad taking things out 3 times the size.
Gardon gets his guard on. Or big. But then who's over on Team Rose? I don't know.
Well, there is no Team Rose because Amy's on. Oh, well,
You could put Amy.
Say, put Cream on Blaze's team and let her be the flying type.
Yeah, I mean, that could work.
Silver is your power? I don't know.
Okay, and Amy's on Team Sonic, yeah. Something like that.
Because he's clearly a dimensional traveler in his own right.
I mean, yeah. I'm being told the commander should be on Team Dark.
No.
Yeah.
No. I'm like one of the 3 people who enjoys the commander. No.
Oh, well, what about Topaz?
She can be on the commander's team.
Okay. All right, Thievius has a question. Hey guys, have either of you read the Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess manga? If so, what do you think? If not, please do it. The writing of this manga has gripped me in a way I can't even explain.
I have not. Is it worth it? Does it fix the game story?
Dang. I don't know. Apparently something happens in it that's like kind of wild, like unexpected.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not in the game, but Thevia seems to think it fixes it. So I guess there's that. And question from Twilord. Let's say over the long years, Shadow mellows, taking comfort in befriending a different version of Silver coming back every year. How does he react to Silver dying of natural causes in about 280 years?
Well, if we're talking mellowed out Shadow, restrained morose.
What a weirdo. Why would he do that? Be restrained and morose?
Like a reserved and respectful farewell to his grave, and then moves on.
Mm-hmm. That's not funny.
Well, we're talking about character death. You want a happy answer?
Maybe.
All right, fine. He reveals that this was just an act, and he's been bitter towards him all these years, and so he steps on the grave and says, "There, you're finally beneath me."
Does he lean over and throw up the peace sign in front of Silver's grave?
You know what your grave mistake was? Dying. Scrub.
Died, skill issue. And our last question is from Vineclad. The working title for Rystar was called Dexstar because he's a very dexterous star. The name was perfect. Why didn't Sega stick with it?
I don't know. Maybe this is purely conjecture on my part. Maybe the English team thought it was too punny?
Maybe.
I mean, I prefer Rystar just because that's what I grew up on. I think it sounds cooler, but Dexstar is apt, granted.
Dexstar is also like the name of other things. Like, I don't know. Like, it's not in the same, not in the video game realm, but like there's a character in comics named Dexstar. There's Dexstar wheels for stuff like that. So maybe it was to try and get it away.
The comic character came like 20 years at least after the game.
Oh, did he? Okay. Well, I'm just thinking like, maybe it's like just something to keep the confusion down and, not get in anyone else's way. But I don't know. Dexstar could have worked. That's a decent enough name. The people would know how to pronounce that better than they know how to pronounce Rystar. Anyway, On that episode, with that question, we are done with this episode.
Thank you so much to everyone who supports us over at patreon.com/BumbleKast, Ko-fi.com/BumbleKast, and our YouTube members. We appreciate all your questions and all the time and money you spend on us. We don't know why you do it, but it is appreciated.
Very much.
So, we will see you later, and until then, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and we will see you next time on the BumbleKast.
See you in August, everybody.
Wait, what?
At the time of this post, IDW published an unfinished cover featuring a Naruto X Sonic I was rewatching Sonic X the other day, and I realized that the Thorndikes only have 2 people working on their. And I realized I was watching. Let's say over the long years, Shadow mellows, taking comfort in befriending a different version of Shadow, coming back every year. How does it react to Silver? Huh?
Nope.
What?
Different version of Silver coming back.
What did I say?
Shadow. You said Shadow twice.
So? Just because I said it wrong? Fine.
You've been listening to the BumbleKast, a co-production of Bumble King Comics and the KNGI Network. Original theme music composed by Ken Coda Snyder. Remixed intro by T-Lopes. Find out more information, along with podcast feeder links, MP3 downloads, and more at bumbleking.com and kngi.org.
So, Ian.
So, Kyle.
You know what Vanilla was doing during Dream Team?
What was Vanilla doing? Dream Team.
Vector. But oh well. It's like Vector's favorite flavor. But